Welcome to the National Real Estate Network video training program. This video is part of a series designed to help beginning and experienced real estate investors with the different aspects of purchasing and investing in properties. Be sure to click become a member at 27monthlymeetup.com.
Fees, $800, $1,500. What if, their liabilities are in excess of the real, the value of the real estate? How far do you go down that road? And what is that person's obligation? I mean, just their legal fees, and they say, well, this real estate's not worth anything because all the creditors have a claim over mine.
So remember, your goal as a real estate investor is to get your hands on that property. It's going to be sold. The question is that you're asking is what happens with the money once it's sold. Does that make sense? So long as there's not a lien on that home for, say, a mortgage or taxes or something else, that property is going to be sold. You could be the buyer. And then the question is what happens with that money?
Oh.
So that's your question. So in probate court, the priorities are first the spousal elections. So the spouse gets a certain amount for different things, and it adds up to around $250,000. Before that is the funeral expenses actually get paid first. So funeral expenses get paid first if there's still any outstanding debt on that. Then the spousal allowance, which amounts to about $250,000 once you add up all those. And then after that are secured creditors, and then everyone else, essentially unsecured creditors, hospital bills, credit cards, whatever it may be. So the liability could be a lot higher than the value, but usually the spouse gets most of it. Sometimes the kids get some other spousal elections because there is no spouse, and there's other things like that. But essentially what you're talking about is what happens with the money after you purchase it. And that's really not your problem. If you were to hire me, or not hire me, if you were to pay me to represent a personal representative, family member, you buy the house and you're essentially out of the picture. A good example right now is I got a woman that real estate investor wanted me to open up the probate estate. We opened up the probate estate. And all of a sudden we published, and all of a sudden all these medical bills started coming in. Well, the house sold, $30,000, something like that, $35,000. Can't remember what it is exactly. Well, the real estate investor who originally introduced me to the personal representative is out of the picture. They bought the house, they're off, they're doing whatever. Now we're dealing with the medical bills, and it's my job as the attorney for the personal representative to negotiate down those medical bills, pay them a dime on the dollar. Take care of whatever else, and then, or tell them, hey, listen, there's no money because everything went to the kids anyways, and things like that. But the real estate investor is gone. They got their home, they've moved on. Does that maybe answer your question?
Yeah, I guess the question though too is, doesn't like a valid arm's length transaction question come into play here? Because if it's sold below market value, wouldn't the creditor say, well, I should actually be getting more money. You should have sold that house for more. And that way my claim would be filled more than it was because you sold it at a ridiculously low price.
Yes, that is an argument that can be made by creditors. And if the house was sold for substantially less than the fair market value, it would be a very valid claim made by the creditors. So when you are approaching these people and doing this sort of transaction, understand that the offer still has to be fair market value. If the home is worth $20,000, the home is worth $20,000. From an honest, objective standpoint, you need to make that call. But you could run into a situation where the home is worth, say, whatever, it's worth $60,000, but you're going to offer $20,000. And if they take it and then some creditors throw up a fuss, there could be some issues. And that's why I tell my real estate investors that have come to me with this sort of situation that there is no self-dealing here. I will advise the personal representative. You can pay me all you want, as much money as you want, but I will advise the personal representative that they have an obligation to get the best money they can for this. And if they feel this is fair deal, then fine, it's a fair deal. But that's my obligation to the personal representative. So you, as a real estate agent, when you're coming into that sort of situation, you want to hire an attorney to represent the PR, you need to know that you need to make a fair deal, because that could really come back and bite you. They could reverse that sale.
Okay, so I guess assuming I found a property that I was interested in, and I didn't feel comfortable opening up the probate, so I would find a probate attorney. Is that correct? To open up what estate, is that the correct word in probate, or
a probated estate is what it's
okay, a probated estate? And would that be someone like you? But then you said your responsibility was to represent the personal representative. So then who's really representing me, or do I not really have an interest and it's just?
I think someone mentioned it earlier about, and my comment was you can have two attorneys. Now what you're looking to do is in this sort of situation, you're looking to assist the personal representative and basically paying for an attorney for them so that they can file the probate. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to run the risk of advising them and then be practicing law without a license. So you want to put them into contact with an attorney who can open the probate for them. That's the primary goal. Now, sometimes these people don't have money to pay me to open the probate for them. And 6 times this last year, these real estate investors have offered to pay me my fees to represent the personal representative. So I am representing the personal representative. It doesn't mean that you can't hire an attorney on your end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the second attorney to represent you and make sure, everything that you're doing is right, or you're protected or anything like that, or advise you on these proceedings. But in the situation that I first described, you're essentially paying me to represent someone else, if that makes sense.
Okay, and I think you alluded that to before, that most people.
No, but you can always have somebody represent you and file into the case if need be, or represent your position in that case. Say a creditor came back and wanted to challenge that. You could hire an attorney and file into the case and say, no, I stand by this. This is the offer. This is fair market value. These are the comps. This is the appraisal. Whatever evidence you have, you can have an attorney represent you in that situation.
Okay, and I think you made the comment, if I understood it correctly, that in this kind of situation, you are representing the personal representative, but the real estate investor, there's kind of like an unwritten understanding or agreement everyone's going to play fairly, and that's usually the way it works out. And most likely the real estate investor doesn't need an additional attorney, and it's kind of just like, let's make this work. And
yeah, exactly. Everyone's got to be above board and honest, and everyone's got to be willing to make this work. The real estate investor, although they're paying my fees, has to understand, though, if push comes to shove, I don't represent them, and I have to represent the best interests of the PR. That's the point that I was making.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, David, we have a couple of questions here from the chat, and I'm going to just kind of introduce the person who was asking. So Regina posted, hello, how does the LLC creation in Delaware and or Wyoming, I think Las Vegas, Nevada is another one, help you if you live in an entirely different state? So Regina, would you like to chime in real quick?
Hello?
Hello? Regina, you're unmuted. Well, okay, why don't you go ahead and answer the question, David, then?
Sure. So unless you're doing multi-million-dollar transactions throughout several states, there's really no need to open up an estate in Delaware or Vegas or anything like that. There are tax benefits to doing it, but there's also some liability, some benefits to doing it. But if you're primarily transacting business in Michigan and you're not doing millions and millions of dollars in sales, I don't see a benefit to it. there might be a financial benefit to it. You might want to talk to your CPA about that. And I know there are a lot of corporations that incorporate in Delaware and then say operate in California and New York and things like that, because there are some protections for them. But this is not the level of business that that would require such filings. I guess if that makes sense. Delaware, in fact, has been noted for being very business friendly in their courts. So a lot of times bigger corporations like to file it form their corporation in Delaware and then put in all their contracts that this is a Delaware corporation. If there's any dispute, you go to Delaware to argue it because Delaware is a very business friendly court. That seems to be the biggest motivating factor. But
Probably.
this level of business that we're talking about here, there's really no benefit to it that I see.
Okay, and now we have a question from Biz Solutions. Hi, what is the typical time frame and cost to purchase a property through probate?
So typical cost would be around $1,500, $800 to $1,500, depending on the cost and the value of the estate, somewhere right around there. That would be filing fees, publication fees, court fees, attorney fees, things like that, right around there. And the typical turnaround to actually purchase the property from the date that it's opened is 30 days or less. We did one that we opened up the probate and we got letters of authority and we signed the next day, the purchase agreement. And then I think they closed within 30 days. So that's the quickest that you can purchase it. Now the probate proceedings, you have to publish for 30 days. You have to file certain things at certain deadlines. So the probate proceedings themselves will stay open a little bit longer, but actually acquiring the property could be 30 to 45 days.
Hello, David.
What my fees are. Someone just posted what my fees are for opening an LLC. It depends. It always depends. So if it's a single member LLC, this is Lionel, I think, Wells. Anyways, so a single member LLC, if we're just forming it, it's $500. That's all the paperwork. That's getting the articles of incorporation filed with the state, with the processing fees, getting the tax ID number, all that stuff set up is $500. That's the minimum. Depending on the structure, it can go up from there, and you can tack on as many zeros as you want to make it interesting. It just depends on the complexity of it, but minimum was 500.
Okay, go ahead, Alfred.
Thank you, Maureen. How you doing, David?
Good. Yourself?
Oh, pretty good. Hey, you mentioned a little bit earlier about legalnews.com and where you could get listings at.
Yes.
You sort of went through that sort of quick. Could you go back over there a little bit? I was trying to write some of the stuff down, and I guess I might have missed some of it.
Yeah, no problem at all. So let me pull up the website right now, if I can do that. All right, so it is legalnews.com, legalnews.com. Now, you go in there, and the top in the middle, it will say sign in or sign up. And what you can do is sign up. Now, you will get newspapers, physical newspapers in the mail as well. But more importantly, what you will get, and it's only going to be available on the website, is probate listings. I don't have an active account right now anymore because I don't do this sort of stuff where I need to look at it all the time. But if I was to log in, you could go in there and select by region probate listings. So that's legalnews.com. That's the best place to find names and addresses of deceased individuals where you might want to send your mailers to and say, we'll buy your house.
Okay, so this will give me a listing of the deceased owners of the property.
It'll give you the name of individuals who have died and
right.
Opened up probate proceedings. And it will also give you a list of their addresses. Now, the addresses might be correct, or it might not be. They might own real estate, but they might have died in, say, a nursing home, and their address is different. But ideally, you know, that's a good list to start with, and start sending out your notices. You know, we buy houses, we'd be interested in buying yours, sort of thing.
Okay, so this will be one way to get in contact with PRs or the attorneys. Is there any other type of way?
So another type of way would be to, as far as if you're trying to get a hold of property that is not in probate court yet, someone has died but they haven't opened up probate, would be simply to target communities with elderly residents, or if you have, if you can search your listings to determine how long someone has owned a home. Say if they've owned the home for 30, 40 years, there hasn't been a deed recorded for 30, 40 years, chances are someone might have passed recently, and you can target those areas with your general flyers. I don't know of a database that accesses recently deceased individuals. There is no national database of deceased individuals in this country. Social Security Administration does maintain a list of deceased individuals, but its primary purpose is to stop the Social Security payments and regulate that. And I don't believe that it is published, although it might be available via FOIA. That's a long roundabout way of trying to get that. There's also the Department of Health and Human Services at the state of Michigan also maintains death certificates for the state. But again, I don't believe that is made available to the public. I am not aware of a database that you could access. You're more targeting areas.
This is Maureen. So I was going to ask you this question, and you might be able to answer it, and I'm not sure. But sometimes in public records, for real estate agents, when they have access to that information, you can go in and you can search for different types of things that have been recorded against individuals for, specific areas. So you can search for those. And I think that one of them might be death certificate. I'm not sure. I think I've seen it before. So, but would that be maybe post probate that we would see those? Or would that be like almost like just post death, post mortem?
So the reason why you would record a death certificate, there's two reasons why. With the register of deeds, I'm assuming is what the database you're accessing is?
Yes, correct.
So are you familiar with the Ladybird deed?
Yes, but if you want to explain that to the audience, well, that would be great.
So a Ladybird deed is named after Lady Bird Johnson, the president's wife. But what it essentially does is it grants a life estate. There's, well, in this scenario, there's two ways to hold real estate. And what you're doing is, in this deed, you're saying, I'm giving this property from me and my wife to me and my wife for as long as we live. And then when we die, it goes to our children, these three individuals or whatever, something like that. And so in order to transfer then the real estate upon death, all you have to do is record the death certificates, both husband and wife death certificates, and then it automatically transfers to the children. And that would avoid probate and would automatically transfer the real estate. So that's one reason why you might see death certificates popping up. The other reason would be essentially that well, actually, no, that would be the only reason that I can think of, actually. What I was thinking was that you would record a death certificate as part of transferring the property in probate, but you wouldn't have to because you're doing everything through probate orders. There might be some underlying trusts that you might want to transfer a death certificate as well for, but or recording a death certificate to transfer property. But when there's a death certificate recorded, chances are it's automatically being transferred. So if you see something with a death certificate, chances are it's involving a Ladybird deed of some sort. And that recording that death certificate is what triggers the transfer. So there may be something there. It might transfer to the children, and then they might not want it. And you could contact the children and do that. So death certificate is something to look out for if you can search those, but that's probably why it's recorded, is that there's some sort of automatic transfer going on.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think Mark has a question for you, so we're going to unmute him. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Dave, what you just were talking about was very interesting, because if the husband was working and he had the ladybird deed that went to the wife, and then it created a financial burden, that could be an indication of there's some motivation too. So
Yeah.
You were sharing about the landlord-tenant courts, and you said, are the district courts closed right now?
No courts are closed.
Okay.
Are closed to people walking in, but hearings are taking place. And in fact, I shared, if you go to my Facebook, which I don't know is on there, I shared a story with a link to a page where all the courts, you can access essentially all the courts on YouTube. In fact, we were watching them earlier today. It was kind of funny. It's like new daytime TV. So the courts are open, hearings are conducted, they're being published via YouTube, and they are doing business.
So some courts, say like the Waterford District Court, publishes the evictions. Others, it might not be published information, but it's public information. So if I had a relationship with a bailiff or a court clerk, and I could get the information, and knowing if any landlord that started an eviction while this freeze is going on is going to be an extremely motivated person, because there's no income coming in. So that might be an area to tackle as an investor, to look for motivation. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure about the strategy, but yeah, definitely. You have access to those. I don't think it's going to go very far in court. I think the judge is going to dismiss it instantly. But yeah, that would be a good way to.
Yeah, I'm just looking for an investor. Yeah, I'm just trying to look for an investor that isn't getting money.
Yeah, it might be someone who might be motivated. So you could look to that. If you call the you don't necessarily talk to a bailiff, but if you call the court clerk and ask them, hey, have any eviction proceedings been filed in the last couple of weeks? Most likely she'll say no. But if she says yes, then, say, hey, can I get the case number and the name of the parties, and send me over a copy of the complaint? And they'll charge you for copying fees and stuff, but you can get that information.
Got it.
But there's no, the other thing too is there's no centralized database for court filings either. I was just trying to track down a case with an individual from 3 years ago. And we had to call various courts and ask them, hey, do you have this case? Was this here? So you got to call the individual courts.
Got it.
I know sometimes you feel like a private investigator trying to get down to the root of who owns what.
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions?
Someone had a question about what advice do I have for investors looking to purchase apartment buildings and other commercial real estate? So it just depends on whether or not you're going at it solo, or if you're going at it as a partnership with someone else. If you're going at it solo, essentially the structure is the same. I would still recommend you holding it in a separate LLC with a parent company. If you're looking at usually these larger buildings and commercial things usually involve more than one person, and whether or not, however you structure that, it needs to be in writing, and it needs to be clear as to what role each person is going to play, and whether it be a joint venture, whether it be a partnership, which, by the way, if it's a partnership, if you ever do a partnership, you have an LLC partnering with an LLC. You never have two individuals partnering together. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. Or if it's two members owning an LLC, things like that. There could be different structures. It just depends. But the key thing is, one, never partner as an individual, and two, make sure your documents are in writing and it's clear as to what both parties' responsibilities are. So that's all I see as far as questions.
Okay. Going once, going twice. Anybody? Anybody else?
Yeah, Dave, I want to thank you. This was great. You really answered a lot of questions and cleared up stuff. So thank you.
Yeah,
very
no problem at
much.
all. I don't see on my information here. I'll just give you my website real quick. It's helmlawpc.com. That's P as in Paul, C as in Charlie. Ah, there it is. Okay. So, well, there's my phone number. Yeah, and it's helmlawpc.com if you want to check out my website. And you can give me a ring there, or else my phone number is available. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to give us a call. We are open. We are working. We have various people going in and out of the office, but generally someone's there from 9 to 5. But if you happen to get a voicemail, just leave a message, because it comes right to my phone and we'll be able to follow up with you. So
You are
That's great.
essential.
And
Okay.
are you good with us putting this seminar up on YouTube and sending it out all over time?
sure.
Okay,
Yeah, not a
great.
problem at all.
We
We
appreciate
had
it.
someone ask if there was a recording of the webinar, and so we're going to go ahead and we're going to transfer this into a recorded video, and then yeah, we'll put it up on Mark's YouTube channel, which is, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just Google my name. It's Mark Mop on YouTube. You'll see it, and within a week we'll have it up there. So, and this is really good video. So we'll be sending it out on sites like ActiveRain and our Facebook site, and we'll be sending it out to our membership list, which is 5,800 people. So, well, yeah.
All right, great. Sounds good. So I was just answering a question in the text. So, anyways, sorry I was late, guys. But thanks for having me, and maybe we'll do this again.
Yeah, be great. Thanks everybody for being on.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Okay. Mark, did you want to wrap up here real quick?
Yeah, just over the next weeks, every week we're going to be having a networking event where you can come on and pitch whatever service you want, pitch the houses you have, and we'll be sending that out through the site and putting it on our Facebook. Then anything that we've done in the past gets recorded. It's on the 27 monthly meetup, and as soon as this banned on having meetings and the health gets better with everybody, we'll start having live meetings again. And if you join the 27 monthly meetup, you can come to any of those meetings. We do 3 of them a week. They all get recorded. They all go on the site. You'll get any kind of forms you talk about, buyer favorable forms are on there, and list of lenders, hard money lenders, private lenders. And if you join that, you get access to a team of people that are knowledgeable in this market that can give you advice. So,
and we do have a trial. We do have a trial period. So you can go in there and you can sign up for $1, and you can, log in and see what past videos are there, and the forms and things like that. So feel free to try it out for $1.
Yeah. So that's about it for me. So, oh, well, yeah, I can cover this too. So if you're going to jump in as an investor and you want to get a real estate license, and I highly recommend that, we recommend 2 different schools. One of them is Michigan Institute of Real Estate. That's Namir George. He has excellent classes. And then Middleton Real Estate. I do not recommend, unless it's one of their classes online, taking any classes online, because sometimes they're like geared towards licensing in other states that have more stringent requirements, and it's a lot tougher to do it online.
Right, and right now they're doing it virtually, just like a Zoom meeting. They're having a virtual classroom, kind of like the Google Classrooms or whatever that the kids are using for school to finish up their school year. So they're doing a similar thing. I know that Kevin George is doing that for the Michigan Institute of Real Estate. And we have some coupon codes. If anybody is interested in that, you can reach out to Mark or myself, and we can get you that information. Another thing I was going to say is if anybody is a licensed real estate agent and you're looking to find out what opportunities we might have here for investor-friendly real estate agents here at Villa, tomorrow we are actually having a career fair. And if you go to my Facebook page, which is Maureen Korthas, MaureenKorthas, on Facebook, you will see my advertising for that, where you can click on the link and you can register and join the career fair and see what Villa is all about. That's my pitch.
Yeah, it's good. We got any more slides? Oh, just my advice, if you're a brand new investor, I'd go one place, and that would be the Villa, because they're investor friendly. The bottom line is, if you're going to become an investor, you got to do, you got to get the comps. It gives you so much stuff. You can do co-ops, but you can also generate a living there, because they have a lot of REOs, BPOs, and
Yep.
you can get assignments through Maureen for that.
Yeah, and I can honestly say this, we're one of the only real estate brokerages that actually give out listings to their agents. Not too many of them do that. That's something that you have to go and generate. But we can give you the listing, if you're interested in being an REO agent. There's a lot that kind of goes into that, and some heavy duty training. But if you're willing to take it on and take the tasking on, well, then you can, double end your deals, because that's a way to put your name out there and farm a market you wouldn't have a personal stake in otherwise.
Questions? Any last minute questions? Or I think we're done. So thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. If you got value out of tonight, maybe tell some other people about us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining in, everybody. And for the future, if you want to see any of our other events or anything, log into the meetup site. You'll see what Mark has in store for you on the calendar. Okay? Take care, and thanks for being with us. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
The link in the description below. You can purchase the full version of this video in all the forms mentioned within, for only $7.99. Or, if you like, you can get access to all of our real estate investing videos at 27monthlymeetup.com. The cost is only $27 a month, and includes all past meetings, 3 new meetings a month, plus all the forms mentioned. Thanks for watching.